any marketing or promotion. I mean, I wouldn't do it even today. I think it's my publisher's job to sell my books, not my job. My job is to write. I don't do anything. That's it works. I think what Ravi says, right, it works. And I think the younger generation has to do that. If I was living in today's world, I'm not sure I would have been able to, live right the way I do now, in the sense that I could sort of distance myself from promotion and marketing. It would have been very difficult. I wouldn't have got anywhere. So I agree with Ravi, but I also think he's holding to his views too hard.
But guys, I just have one word of advice for you guys. Okay, irrespective of this discussion, if you rely on your publisher for selling your books, you will be staring if not. Okay, publishers do not sell books. Publishers put out your books. Okay, you will have to stand up. You will have to market your book. An author who is seen often gets bought. So you will have to go do events, promote your book, be seen in the media. It's a changed world out there. Please understand. It's not the same as it was. Chetan Bhagat came in 2004 and changed the rules of the game. Amish Tripathi came in 2009 and changed it further. So guys, it's a different world. Arun, your take on this? Sorry.
There's just one more thing that I want to talk about. I know you spoke about marketing and the MBA vision and so on and so forth. But what I find when Ravi is speaking is a perfect example of organic growth. You explore the field that you are good at, 5 books, and then you acquire the confidence to experiment. You have now changed direction, but that is based on your own confidence that you have acquired after having grown organically. And then you are going to go into the 3 generations of South Indians, which is something that is there at the bottom of your heart, which maybe you had not had the confidence so far. But once you travel in that direction, organically, you are going to grow in the direction and do that 3-generation saga. So, however much you deny it, I think you need to be safe from yourself, really, is that you are a literary writer. You are going to write that literary book, whether you like it or not.
You just gave me a fabulous compliment. Thank you. I'm a literary writer. Thank you. I think that's a huge compliment. Arun, your take on marketing. You've been trying to market your book really hard, so please tell us what you're trying to do. I just say me from these 2 ladies who are after me.
Generally, my view in these panel discussions is I agree with everybody. That I find generally saves me from controversy, keeps me popular, and hopefully sells my book. See, that said, I mean,
Before the progresses, I took a few lessons in marketing from Arun. So,
I have to learn this back from you. But that said, see, basically, look at the thriller. Today, if you go into any bookstore, you see Agatha Christie there, plentifully stocked. You see still Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is there, as he was 40 or 50 years ago, but there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's a huge lot of other stuff. So, I think, if you ask me, there are moments that all of us as writers will introspect. We'd certainly like to ask ourselves, am I going to be a sort of a flash in the pan? Or is it my intent to be read as a thriller writer 10 years down or 15 years down the road? At least I'd like to ask myself these questions. I'm not saying I have answers, but when I go back and pick up an old Bulldog Drummond, who wrote in the 1920s and 30s, even today he thrills me. Right? So I'd like maybe my son's son to wake up and say, you know what, Tata did a damn good job. So to me that's important. I think it's important that I try and strive for something that's a little bit more permanent and which can withstand the test of time. But I recognize and realize that there's an importance to today. If I don't succeed or at least sell reasonably well in the next year or 2 years, what is happening? And there I think Ravi's got it exactly right. See, we have to understand that the bookstores are very stressed today financially. They've got limited space and publishers are launching books at a phenomenal rate. I think Penguin brings out 100 titles a year, Pan brings out 40, 50 titles, Harper brings out. So the bookstores are under terrific pressure to stock, to sell. And if you're not there doing what you can, your book starts getting pushed back. At some point, it's sitting in the go down in the next point, when I've run a paper mill, it comes to my pulper. So it's pulp fiction is actually right. I mean, it just goes to pulp. So, let me tell you, you don't want to be ideally recycled paper. So you want to go a little beyond that, but how much beyond? These are very personal questions. And I think Ravi will have an answer. I may think in one way, Usha and Sachi will think a different way. And in my view, I think literary fiction would probably look at it in a more long-term perspective, and I think they're looking to make a more serious statement. I, for example, am looking to make maybe a medium-term statement, and maybe somebody else is looking to make a much shorter-term statement. So I think it's all a very personal thing, but I think I agree with Ravi, we need to be aware of what's going on if you want to succeed. Certainly as a thriller genre person, you want your books read. But I guess at one level, we're also writing for ourselves and writing for future generations to come.
That all of us want our books to sell, not only fiction. I mean, I want more readers. It's not the selling part, but I want more readers. I want more people to read my books. So that's one thing. And the other thing, Ravi, when you said that people don't change, writers don't change, I don't think it's really a question of change. I think all writers have a kind of a graph of growth. And then there is, kind of decline. You will take somebody like Ernest Hemingway or anybody. There's always a sense of decline. So I think writers have just so many years in which they produce their best work. I don't think it has anything to do with changing what you are writing. I mean, certainly, you cannot change in such a way that you write like, I can't write like you, for example. I would look stupid if I tried to write like you. So I have to go my own way. And for me, that is the only answer, is to be yourself as a writer, as a human being.
Okay.
There's just one more thing that, in defense of, say, literary writers, as Shashi said, all writers, whether you're writing thrillers or you're writing a literary book, you want to be read, you want to read. And it is not that literary writers are self-indulgent or write whatever they want. You're constantly aware of the fact that you have to sharpen your writing, it has to be a page turner. At the same time, it has to give food for thought. The structure has to be tight, the plot characterization has to be rich, and the plot has to be good. And you have to do everything simultaneously.
Okay, moving on, I think, interesting debate. When you plot a story, Shashi, do you have the entire plot in front of you? Or do you start writing let the plot take its own course?
Unfortunately, I don't plot. The first novel I tried to plot, I had it all laid out and it didn't work out. So I don't plot. My characters are what I really sort of start off with. Characters, their background, and everything about them. I know them as well as I know my own family, maybe better because I see into their minds, and I can't see into the minds of my people who are so close to me. So the movement afterwards is something which, sometimes I have to plot. The minor things I plot. The major movements have to come out of the characters.
Your views on this?
Generally, I would say I know the beginning and finally a rough sense of the ending. I know overall what happens to my characters, whether X is going to, say, live or die, whether he's going to be happily married or suffer heartbreak. But the path is something, the plot is something that you chart out very vaguely and then you discover yourself. There's no point in writing something that you already know, unless there is a sense of discovery or finding something new which surprises you as a writer. You would not continue with writing.
Have you discovered something about yourself in the process as a writer? Because that's often the case too, that just like you would discover your ending or your conclusion, you discover something about yourself.
Well, speaking for myself, I wouldn't say that, but the journey itself, it is so interesting. The fact that you have traveled with your characters, you've plotted it, and you've plotted your novel, and you've gone ahead. Discovering things about the book very tangentially is like discovering things about yourself, because you are related to the world that you are writing about. In that way, yes, it is. But it's not very, very personal in, say, a Freudian sense or something. It's just that you link with the world, so you know the world better, so you know yourself better.
Is that true for all of you? Have you discovered something about yourself in the process as a writer?
No. No.
Okay,
But, just to answer Ravi's question, at least in my way in which I've approached thriller and adventure writing, I don't know where the story is going to go. But the golden rule that I follow is the first 5 pages. If it's very gripping, and you've got to work on that, because quite often if you go to bookstores, people are, looking at the first page and they're kind of taking a quick look, looking at the back jacket. It's very important to get the first 5 pages, should grip that reader and take them forward. So I start with the first 5, then I go where the story leads me.
I completely agree with you. I think there was someone said that a murder in the first 5 pages is a short way to a successful book. And two, it's very interesting because there are 2 points of view in 2 enormously successful authors. One, Grisham. Grisham lays out the entire story on a storyboard, okay, before he actually writes the book. So he knows what's going to start, how it's going to start, how it's going to end, and what the middle is going to be. Jeffrey Archer says that I have no clue what the next 5 pages are going to be about. And he says, if I don't have a clue of what the next 5 pages are going to be about, there's no chance in hell that the reader will have a clue on what's going to happen. So that's where the twist and the intrigue factor comes in his books. So both are successful, both are different styles of writing. So when you write, don't be too fussed up about making sure that you have the entire story in your mind. If you're comfortable writing from the beginning, saying, okay, I only know the first 20 pages of the book, or how it's going to start. Start writing. The first 20 pages will show you the way for the next 20, and thereon.
I have a question.
Management education. We spoke about the marketing. What about production? Do you plan I heard you saying 80,000 pages divided by so many days. Work your schedule out so that you can get your book out.
That brings me to my next question. I want to ask the panelists a question, and that is, writing is all about creativity, and often creative people are very eccentric and indisciplined. And about looking at the 3 panelists, the only indisciplined bloke here seems to be me. So, what do you think about discipline in writing? Do you actually follow a certain discipline? Do you write at fixed times? Do you write daily? How do you actually? What is the rigor that you practice, and what is the rigor that you would advise a new author to follow?
I think I'm totally disciplined. I could not have written the number of books I've written without that. So, I've not done an MBA, but I manage my time. But I give so much time to housework, I think it's important to work that, especially when you're sitting at home and writing, nobody takes you seriously. And people think that they can interrupt you anytime. So I have very regular hours. I work 6 days a week and Sunday mornings. So even if I am not able to produce anything in that time, it's still important to me to sit at my table and write. So discipline is the most important.
That brings me back to my first question. That's exactly the point I made, and you were vehement in your objection. When you sit at home and write, people don't take you seriously.
No.
People interrupt you whenever they want to.
Yeah,
That's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier when I said that you writing a book is far more credible than me writing a book or anybody else writing a book.
The choice of words.
Okay, the choice of words. My apologies.
What I was trying to say is that I have never had a problem with a publisher. I've never had any problems as a woman. I've been accepted by publishers. But my time at home and how I manage that, these are very personal problems. And all men, my dad was a writer, and he had to, bring up a family, work hard for that, try to find time to write. So I think all of us have problems.
The word sounded a bit patronizing.
Yeah.
My apologies.
I have a question here.
Okay, once again, I'm through with this.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry. We come back to you.
Yeah.
Arun, your views on this?
Yeah, I think very important. I don't think you can write and craft a book without that. So let me be very clear. But what I have personally experienced is that if you put aside, sometimes, my technique has been wake up early, put in an hour and a half, then hit work, come back in the evening, put in an hour and a half. I think that works in my view, in my style, up to a point. But I have discovered that if you allow long, uninterrupted periods, particularly when you're working through an important intelligence plot or suspense, Stephen King, and I remember he's written a very nice book, which I think is well worth going through, called On Writing. And Stephen King, he sits in an underground basement and he has his music full blast and so on. That's a personal style. I need complete silence. I can't listen to any music and